All right, and we are live. Feels good to be on another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Oh man, so much to discuss, so much to talk about. Um, since hopefully we're waiting on B Money. If he pops in, that'd be great. If not, maybe he's busy with some other things. Good to have the cast up ahead today. Myself, Anchorman V, Sam Tolbert is here as well. Man, we got so much to chat about. Man, Gears 5 rumors. Um, I just recently read about the Xbox One S getting an upgrade in the Xbox One X actually for 1440p uh, settings or resolution for probably for people who have who play on monitors instead of playing on um, television sets. E3 news, a lot to talk about with E3. Even though we're way early to talk about E3, there's a lot of things to discuss about E3. Sea of Thieves news and a couple of other things, and we'll pick Sam brain about what's going on with the latest. So, Anchor, listen. Last week we spoke about you and a lovely lady that you had brought up. I heard tonight you had went on this date. I know you're really ecstatic. Uh, Break it down, man. What happened?
Dude, don't put me on the spot. Damn it. Dude, nah, dude. That really, it was excellent. And I'll leave it there. I was just really excited, dude. It was perfect. Nah, but anyway, other than that in particular, I mean, I'm playing games and such. Um, Sam, I know it was the Sea of Thieves beta. You played on that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so.
Don't
Wait, Cal, did you
don't
get
be
to play the beta
shy.
this time?
No, I played the
Don't-
beta. I played the beta. Don't be shy, but I played the
Well,
beta.
did you play the updated beta today though? They
No,
changed
I
a
didn't
few.
play the
That's fine.
updated beta. I heard about the I heard that it doesn't have all the bells and whistles yet, which is good. I heard there's fish. There are fish.
Yep, there's
Press A
fish.
to feed the fish, which is pretty cool and everything like that. But listen, Sea of Thieves, we're gonna get to Sea of Thieves. I want to talk about Anchor's date.
No.
Anchor went on a coffee date with this woman, and it turned into 6 hours of conversations. First of all, you should let her know this will not happen on a regular occurrence. No man is going to talk to a woman for 6 hours. Make sure you nip that in the butt early if the relationship works out. I know it's one date, but don't get her comfortable. Okay, she needs to be as uncomfortable as possible so she understands what she's getting into. Because the first time she see you play games, you're not talking to her for 6 hours. Oh my God, you're gonna be bumping heads like crazy. It's gonna be all hell broken loose in your crib. So what happened? What could you have possibly talked to this woman about for 6 hours over coffee? I have to hear this.
No, you really don't.
Don't
It was an excellent date. We talked about pretty much everything under the sun, everything you shouldn't talk about on a
I
first
hope
date.
I pray to God Fallout was not involved.
Not this time.
Not this time. Never be involved with a woman. Don't you ever bring up Fallout with any woman. Are
No,
you insane?
best part about it though was when we were texting back and forth for a little bit. Um, Something came up and she asked me this question because I told her like, oh yeah, I do some like video game stuff, and so she's like, oh well, what's your opinion on Horizon Zero Dawn? I was like,
Wait a
oh
second. She's a
god,
PlayStation gamer?
no, she's not, but she was with her friend who was, and so she asked me vicariously through her what I thought about Horizon Zero Dawn.
We've got to get rid of that friend. That friend's got to go. She's gonna sabotage your relationship, bro.
No,
Immediately,
but the
she's
best
already bad news.
the best part about it though was I told her, yeah, I think it was a mediocre game. I thought it was okay. Graphics are great, but overall I thought it was just mediocre. And she said, yeah, that's about right.
Oh man,
Wow.
that sounds amazing. That
And
sounds
the
like you might
best
have two girlfriends.
the best part about it afterwards is I said, well, I think it kind of ripped off Fallout because they did take the lead writer. Well, the lead writer of Horizon Zero Dawn was one of the writers for Fallout New Vegas. And she said, oh, Fallout 4 is my favorite game.
Oh my God, you're with the wrong woman, bro. You are already with the wrong woman, bro. Oh man, that's crazy. I would have loved to be the fly on the wall on that date. Um, listen, man, I'm excited. Listen, Black Panther came out. I didn't get a chance to see it. I'm hearing great things about the film. I heard Michael B. Jordan is an amazing Killmonger, and he played the hell out of his role. I mean, I heard that it was almost Golden Globe Academy Award worthy, which is very shocking to me. Not to say that Michael B. Jordan isn't a great actor, but it's just to say that, it's rare to find a superhero villain get such praise other than Heath Ledger's Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker,
and that's only because he died.
Yeah, but still,
that's the only reason.
No, I don't know, man. I think Heath Ledger, even if he was alive, deserved an Oscar for playing the Joker.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you on that point, but the only reason it was even in conversation was because he died.
I guess
that's the thing. That's the only reason it ever came up. Because people have done crazy stuff before and done great performances, but they don't get brought up.
Yeah, but not like that. I mean, this is history with the Joker. We understand what the Joker is and who the Joker is, from comics to the animation to previous movies and even TV series. And the approach that was taken was completely different and completely so out of bounds that it really struck a realistic chord of what the Joker would be like if the Joker were a real person. I think the authenticity that he brought to it and the realism that he brought to it made it Oscar worthy. He was tactical in what he did. He didn't have a true purpose, and that's what made the Joker. Because again, like Alfred said, some people just want to watch the world burn. For him, it was having the Batman as an adversary was everything to him. It was the ultimate goal. It was no rhyme or reason behind it. He didn't care about the money. He didn't care about taking over the city. He had no demands. It was just a game. And I thought it was absolutely amazing the way he did it. Michael B. Jordan, I heard, studied that role as well as Loki's role. The guy who plays Loki, I forget his name. But he watched both those guys and studied them to try to get a better understanding and bring a different type of character to the Killmonger character. So listen, this thing's been getting a lot of praise. I'm hearing a lot of good things about it. I heard it's killing the box office right now. I'm excited. I want to go see the film. I don't want any spoilers, but I can't wait to go see the film. Hopefully it does well.
I'll go tomorrow.
Hopefully it does well and it's received well and stuff like that. So let's get the show started, man.
Yeah, I was going to go tonight, but
but you got stuck in coffee for 6 hours with the wrong girl. Gotcha. So let's get started and let's talk about the new. Let's get started with the new Tick Podcast episode and talk about what's going on in the world of Xbox and gaming. Here we go. Welcome to the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. I'm your host, KORXKLL, with Anchorman V.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, B Money 101, who unfortunately right now is absent with us. And of course, our main man, Sam.
Hey, everybody. What's up?
And we are the Inner Circle. So this week, Gears of War 5 news sort of dropped in a way. Obviously, we've known that the Coalition is the Gears of War studio. We've been hearing all these rumors about the Coalition working with another studio and working on a game. And now we're hearing that Splash Damage is working on the campaign for Gears of War 5. Now, it's not that we haven't heard of Splash Damage. It's not that Splash Damage has not worked on Gears games before. Although most of the things that I've heard was they've worked on maps. They worked on a lot of the multiplayer aspect of the game, or at least helped in that regard. This is the first time, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so don't kill me. This is the first time that I've heard them work on the actual campaign of the game. And the campaign of any main game with Microsoft is a significant thing. I think a lot of people gloss over the fact that the big franchises from Microsoft also normally have great single player experiences. There's a great balance when it comes to Microsoft first-party titles when it comes to Halo and Gears of War. I think those things may have been overlooked over the last couple of years. People always say, oh, well, people buy Halo for the multiplayer. I buy Halo for the campaign. I love Halo's multiplayer. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an amazing compliment to the game overall, and it keeps you going for such a long time. But with Halo 5, I played it maybe for a couple of months, and then I kind of abandoned it. Maybe because it just didn't feel, not that it didn't feel like old Halo, but as an old Halo player, I think what made the old Halos great was the vehicle combat, was being able to hop in a Warthog or hop on the back of a Mongoose and play capture the flag, or hop in a Scorpion or a Ghost, and or a Banshee and fly across. And I think the added aspect of those games, and I have to say that's not in there, but I think the added aspect of that for multiplayer as far as PvP and capture the flag and the big open maps and stuff, I think that's what made those games really fun. And you weren't a tank. Now, I like the new tanks that they have as far as being able to thrust and burst hair and power slam to the ground and everything like that. I love the updated version of Halo. I think it's great. But I think with that, they made it such an arena game that is sort of taken away from the larger aspect of multiplayer as far as PvP is concerned. And then on the other hand, you have Warzone, which is more cooperative, but also both PvP and PvE at the same time. So it's a different aspect altogether. But I think that the single player aspect is overlooked. The Gears series as a story was actually decent. It wasn't as in depth as some might have liked. I still don't know why the Queen was partially human looking. I still don't know that. And I maybe
Sex
there's Gears
appeal.
books out there I
Sex
haven't read.
appeal.
Yeah, but listen. I remember in Gears when it first started. You remember the Berserkers? They were female. They were the women in the Locust Horde. I remember that specifically actually. And but most of the other soldiers were just males, except for the Queen. The Queen was a female, and there was never a king introduced. I feel like there's a royal hierarchy within the Locust Horde, and that should be explored. I really feel like that's something they should have explored before the Locusts got wiped out and they introduced what are they called? The new Locusts?
Oh, Juvies.
The Swarm.
The Swarm. Yeah, basically the Locusts, but they're red. So I just feel like I feel like they should have explored the Locust lineage. And I think that would have been really cool if they did that, so you can get a better understanding of that. But they had a story aspect to that. Halo has a story aspect to it as well. That's actually really in depth. There's novels, there's television shows, there's all types of stuff that talks about the lore and story of Halo. So it's really in depth with that, and it's more to it than just some guys in armor running around shooting each other. So with Gears 5, with them working on the campaign, I think you have a significant group possibly working on the campaign. So if they're working on the campaign and maybe we have some of the coalition working on the multiplayer aspect, then a good other portion of the coalition that's supposedly working on this other project could actually be working on that other project. And we keep hearing that this other project is Perfect Dark. And I really hope that is true. Again, these are rumors. I'm not saying that factual. I had someone say to me, or I read somewhere say that a couple years ago, I stated that Rare had a couple projects that they were working on. And I stick to that. I spoke with Rare at E3, and they told me that, yeah, they had Sea of Thieves, and there were two other projects that they were looking into and working on. And if Perfect Dark is one of those projects, that's not to say that Rare's not involved. It is a Rare franchise. It could just be handed off like Killer Instinct was handed off. You know what I'm saying? And how they look at that or what they do with that is completely up to Rare and Microsoft. I don't know. But it's possible that they could be looking at that, or they could be looking into something else. We won't know until later on next year.
I hope it's not Perfect Dark, honestly. Not because I don't want to see Perfect Dark, but rather because I would much rather be Shanghai's.
It's not going to be Shanghai's, bro. It's going to be Perfect Dark.
But
and
why you gotta rain on my parade?
Shanghai's is done. First of all, if you go back and look at Shanghai's looks terrible. Like, it has not aged well. Even as a tech demo, it has not aged well. But the concept is there. The concept feels like an espionage spy type game. You know what I'm saying? And it's futuristic. You could tell by the way the bullet loads into the chamber and all the technology in the gun and all the stuff like that. I feel like if they were trying to make some type of futuristic game where you played a thief, they could easily convert that into a game with Perfect Dark, because Perfect Dark deals with being sort of a spy, super soldier, espionage, but you also happen to deal with aliens and alien technology. I think that's really cool, and that could be a great concept and a great way for that team to build on something that they initially wanted to do, but instead revive it with a familiar franchise and title. Microsoft desperately needs another female protagonist. I think Julius is solid. You know, she's solid. They have a lot of work to do with Recore, but a lot of people like Joanna. And she's a character that's well known. She's already out there and it's familiar territory. And a lot of fans have been asking for Perfect Dark for a long time. So, you know, that's something that I think would be interesting if they did.
Yeah, I mean,
any thoughts?
I don't know. I just rather it not be. I'd rather be a new IP and we just start over than trying to rebrand an old IP necessarily. But I mean, as long as it's not another Gears, Halo, or Forza, I mean, ultimately, I think it'll be fine.
Well, listen,
so, but yeah, I think you are right though. I think they really are working on a new IP, and although they didn't like it, although some people on Reset don't like the idea that it could happen, I think it's in the best interest. I think that's what they need to do, though. So, yeah.
Sam?
Yeah, I'm not really sure because I lean towards a new Perfect Dark coming, honestly. Just when you think about it, it makes sense because, look, Deus Ex is on ice at absolute best. That's assuming it's just not dead for all eternity. Splinter Cell, we've seen neither hide nor hair. So Splinter Cell and Deus Ex both missing. There's a huge exploitable gap in the market right there for a dedicated stealth shooter with some cyberpunk elements and a strong female protagonist, a single-player based game. That's everything Microsoft or Xbox needs right now. So Perfect Dark just flat out makes sense. The thing I'm not sure is whether or not it would be Rare that's actually working on it. Now, I know not everybody's going to be dedicated to Sea of Thieves and keeping up new content, but a good chunk of the studio will. So maybe they work on a new IP altogether and they hand Perfect Dark off to someone like the Coalition or Sumo Digital or some other studio. I don't know. But I definitely think Perfect Dark is not only coming, but that it needs to be coming. That's my take on it.
I agree. Again, I don't think Rare is actually working on it. I know, like I said, I heard that they had projects, 2 other projects that they were working on. Maybe they began work on it and Sea of Thieves took over. Again, this was like 2 years ago when I brought this up. You know, this was like E3 2016 or something like that. And or 2017, maybe last year. A lot of things could change in that time. Games get handed to other studios and other people take over. All I know is, you know, based on the conversations that I had, that there were two other projects they were working on. Now, that's not to say it couldn't be a new franchise that Rare's working on. Somebody had hit me up with a message on Xbox and kind of relayed something to me that they had saw an image that Microsoft was looking to sell Conquer and Banjo, which I thought was just insane. I needed to see. I needed proof of that. I needed proof of that immediately. Right. And
even when they dissolve studios, Microsoft doesn't sell their IPs. That's why they have a mountain of IPs that they're sitting on, is because even if they never intend to do anything with them, they're not letting someone else have them.
Exactly. So that's why I knew for a fact that was kind of like a bogus and sort of a false, you know, statement. And I wanted proof of that. And I just felt whoever, you know, contacted the guy that had told me about it was trolling him. I feel like Microsoft really needs to I think Perfect Dark is one thing. Again, we spoke about Perfect Dark a few years ago and what we thought would be different. I don't feel like they need another first-person shooter because you have Halo.
No, you don't need a first-person
You don't
shooter.
need
No.
Again,
Third person.
a lot of people don't want Perfect Dark to be third person, though. A lot of people want Perfect Dark to be first person like it used to be.
This is my. Sorry.
I think if they pull it like a Dead Space and it's like a really more like a second person kind of game where it's like over the shoulder, I think people will be down with that.
That's
but
third person. That's still third person.
Well, it's more about the camera angle, really, that people get into it.
You can have a wider lens. Like, I know there's a difference between like Dead Space and The Witcher, but they're both technically third person. I get.
They're both technically, but I normally refer to the over the shoulder mentality as second person, really. But
okay, I've literally never heard that before. But
I know no one else says it, but I refer to it as that.
Fair enough. Regardless, I think we can all agree if you're going to bring Perfect Dark back, it doesn't need to be a sequel. It needs to be a reboot. Taking the idea of the franchise, reimagine it. So you need to change things up, breathe new life into it. Joanna's design is fine. Maybe slightly redesign it, tweak it up for the modern age. But she's cool. That works. But third person makes the most sense, especially if you're trying to get in on that cyberpunk stealth shooter type feel.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, again,
stealth in first person sucks.
Exactly.
I feel like they could pull off a Metal Gear style third person, but when you aim down sights, it goes first person. I remember Metal Gear 2.
You mean like Ghost Recon?
Like that. I don't know. I never played Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon Wildlands does that. You can choose either go third person or first person when you aim down.
Yeah, but in this one, in Metal Gear, what they had was you would do everything in third person, right? Like you would hide, you would crawl, you would climb, you would move in third person. But if you pull the left trigger to aim down sights, it would actually immediately jump to a first person view, and you would be looking down the sights of the trigger, and your hands. You could barely see your hands in front, but the gun would be there, and you can actually have accurate headshots and stuff like that to knock people out or hit them with darts or tranquilizers and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind something like that.
That's
okay. Have a combination of both.
That's okay, but the stealth, the movement, 80, 90% of the game needs to be third person. I think we can all agree on that safely.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, again, I think that's something that they would need. It gives you a feel of an adventure game, not a first-person game, not a first-person shooter. Because, listen, when you go first-person, it kind of changes your perception of games as well.
Oh, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
First-person is designed to put you more in the boots of that character. You're supposed to role-play. You're supposed to feel like them. That's not to say that isn't the case with third-person, but with a third-person perspective, it's more of this is the character. They have a set opinion. They have their own set ideals. Even in the context of a role-playing game, even there, it's still supposed to be this distinct character, not you.
Right. So, listen, if half the team is working on Perfect Dark in some form of fashion, and that's the game that people believe, at least rumor-wise, and based on a lot of the things, assessments that we've been hearing, that'd be great. Gears 5.
And plus, I mean, if it's going to be third person, even if they're not the major ones developing it, just tying it back into the Reset Era leaks, you would want the coalition to sort of fine-tune things, to say, yeah, this shooting feels good in third person. No, you need to change this here. You would want them to check up on what you're doing.
I mean, listen, when you're dealing with stealth, there's no better team out there than the coalition because you're talking about cover. You're talking about
as far as I'm concerned, they make the best third-person shooting on the planet. As far as I'm concerned,
they should definitely be the studio to help build that game. Now with Gears 5, possibly, obviously in the works. What are we looking at right now? Are you guys thinking Gears 5 comes out this generation, or it doesn't release until the next Xbox?
Gears 5 is 2020 launch title for the next Xbox console.
I'm not sure launch title, but I'm not sure about launch title, but I think 2020.
Gears games and Halo games have always taken 3 years. Halo is most likely adding another year on to pump some more development crunch into bigger modes and better campaign. Rod has mentioned that the Coalition has some crazy ideas for where to take the franchise, and they're going over Cliffy B's notes for what he wanted to do in the original trilogy. So it makes sense that, take 3 years for the traditional time cycle, then add a little bit more in for all these extra ideas. 4 years checks out. 2020 is when most of the financial analysts are saying the new consoles will be coming out, PS5 and Xbox Two, Xbox whatever.
I'm just not sure, dude. The a lot of the positioning I'm seeing, I don't even think we're getting like at least a traditional. Here's a new generation. I don't think we're getting that anytime soon.
Well,
right now.
Will. We will. I think the next Xbox comes out 2021. That's my opinion. 2020 at the earliest, November 2020. But we know Microsoft is going to drop their console at the end of the year. They're not going to hit you with a Nintendo and drop it in March. They're going to drop it holiday season. So it's either going to be holiday season 2020 or 2021. I lean towards 2021. I think PlayStation 5 comes out in 2020. And again, I believe that Microsoft is going to have the most powerful console on the market. I believe that they need to have the most powerful console on the market, especially with them not having the global appeal that PlayStation has. It gives them an advantage power-wise, and that helps them overall. But I think that Halo comes out at the end of the Xbox One. I guess you could say this generation. Xbox One X will be the new Xbox One S console when the new console comes out, and you'll be able to play Gears on this console as well, based on what they plan to do, and everything on this console will be backwards compatible on the newer console. But I think what winds up happening is, you get Halo 5. I mean, you get Gears 5 probably about 2020 or 2021. And I think that either launches as a new title, or ends the generation as a ending title. But I know Halo is definitely going to come out before Gears, and I think it'll be the last probably console exclusive title on the Xbox One X, Xbox One generation before moving on to the next Xbox, whatever it's going to be called.
It'll be the last big one for sure. I think this is just me. This is just me looking at the tea leaves, looking at the tarot cards. I'm not saying I have proof or whatever, but I think it'll be
so definitive proof. You say?
Yes, definitive proof. Get all the headlines. Get Eurogamer on this right now. No, I think Halo 6 is like early fall 2019, sort of the swan song for the Xbox One. It's fitting.
Right.
It makes perfect sense. Real powerhouse for the X, going back to the roots. Give us a fantastic campaign. Keep the multiplayer. Multiplayer is great. Just give us bigger modes. All that works. And then you close the book on this gem with Halo. You open it with Gears and Fable and most likely Perfect Dark in the next one. That's just what I see.
That actually makes sense. That does make sense. Because if you have all of these games in production, listen, there's other games in production that we know of and that we've heard of as well. So you're talking about a few titles that they're working on right now that will probably get in between the next couple of years. They're going to be purchasing a few titles in between that time. I'm hearing that they got some big stuff to announce at E3. I know we talk about this every year. I'm not 100% on it. This is just based on some of the things that I've been hearing from the executives, that their E3, they're all excited about it. They're all ecstatic about it. I know last year, shall I say, they were ecstatic about it as well. And I went into last year's E3 excited about Xbox One X and not expecting to see what I saw at last year's E3. And everybody hated it. I won't say everybody, but a lot of fans hated it. And I loved it. And it was a good E3.
Anchor, you and I were talking about a month after that conference, and I remember you making this statement. Tell me if it still rings true for you. It was the conference they deserved, but not the one they needed.
Yeah, I still stand by that statement, because objectively, if you look at that conference, they had more games on stage, more new announcements, more new everything. And it was great. It was a great conference. Given what was available, it was one of the best conferences they could have put together. But it wasn't the one that we needed from them.
Exactly.
No, really solid.
I think, listen, people were looking for something to replace Scalebound. You were not getting that at that conference. You know what I'm saying? people looking for something to replace Scalebound, something to replace Fable. You weren't going to get that because, first of all, Scalebound's hype is actually bigger than the want. If you understand what I'm saying, like the amount of people who, especially fans, people who weren't getting or even have an Xbox. The people who were hyping Scalebound, saying I was going to get it, but because of this, I'm no longer getting Xbox. It's actually bigger than what the game actually probably would have sold on the platform as a Japanese RPG, action RPG. And,
that's a bit of a rabbit trail to go down, but there's no denying that there was way more talk of, I was going to get Scalebound after it was canceled. There's no denying that.
Right. I mean, a lot of people talked about how they were excited about it. It was platinum and they were interested into the game. But it wasn't like it was when they announced it was canceled. I mean, the amount of people that came out of the woodworks when you know what I'm saying? It was
they went above and beyond for that. We know why. We know why.
Exactly. So when I going to E3, man, and just watching Microsoft's conference and come right out the gate and talk about the Xbox One X and all that stuff like that, and then being able to watch all the games that they present and whatever they would drop it later in the year, and then some of the indie games, and I was really impressed. I was completely impressed with the show. I got a chance to see what they were bringing. And a lot of games coming to Xbox first. I know a lot of people gloss over it, but I always just feel like if it was PlayStation, everybody would be hyping it up. I mean, it's no different than Shenmue or Final Fantasy VII's remake.
Where are those games, by the way? Like, if you really think about it, like when was Final Fantasy VII Remake supposed to come out?
That was 2015, the year of dreams. Of the big three announcements, The Last Guardian, to its credit, did actually come out. Opinions are mixed, to say the least, but props. It came out that year. Or not that year, 2016, excuse me. Then, after that, Shenmue 3 supposedly is still coming this year. They have been very transparent on the Kickstarter.
They're about to.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it's coming this year. It's 2019, most likely. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that publishing situation because Deep Silver, by the way, not PlayStation, was the publisher and is the publisher for Shenmue 3. And as we all know, Deep Silver just got picked up by THQ Nordic. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens there.
The return of THQ.
Yeah, that's another topic. And then Final Fantasy VII Remake, opinions are mixed as to whether or not development has actually even really begun.
I just remember that E3. That was an E3 we went to Anchor, right? I remember that E3 and how everybody was like the nostalgia factor won it all. And I just remember Microsoft had an amazing conference. They had just announced the Xbox One S. They talked about the Xbox One X. They had showed off Gears 5 gameplay.
That was 2016, dude. That was 2016. They show Shenmue
2016?
No, Shenmue was 2015.
Shenmue
was that far back?
Yes, it was. This is going to be the 3-year anniversary.
Wow.
Which, again, I mean, the thing is, I think Shenmue will eventually come out. Final Fantasy VII Remake, on the other hand, that's just...
Microsoft's 2015 was amazing. They had Sunset that year, didn't they? Then they have Sunset. Then they had
Sunset was 2014, dude.
What was 2015?
They had a good 2014, too.
2015 was Halo.
Halo? That was it?
Yeah, that was kind of it.
They have Forza? What they had? Forza what?
It was Halo 5, Forza 6.
Halo 5,
Halo 5, Forza 6. There was Fallout 4 marketing.
Rise of the Tomb Raider, timed exclusive.
Yep.
Rise of the Tomb Raider, right. Okay. Man. I don't know, man. I thought that was a solid year. I thought every year up until 2017 was a good year for Microsoft.
It was. Every year up until 2017 has actually been
was a good year. Yeah.
Every year until 2017 has actually been fairly good in terms of game output. 2016 was fantastic, by the way. Started off the year with Quantum Break, a type of game that they sorely need. Remedy Entertainment, I still say that game got slandered, but that's my opinion. Sorry, I'm a huge Quantum Break fan. Then after that, they had Forza Horizon 3, obviously, which that was huge. It's still the highest rated game on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't know how they're going to top it. I don't know how Forza Horizon.
I have no idea.
But then they had Recore, which, okay, let's be honest here. Recore probably needed a little more time and a bigger development budget. I liked it, but let's call it for what it is. It could have used some more time and money. Right. However, Phil likes the IP. It has a niche cult following. Hopefully we see a sequel there. And then to top it off, they had Gears 4. So 2016 was a really, really good year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, 2017 was a bad year. Listen, if Microsoft, obviously we talked about last year how they have some work to do. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but listen, the beginning of 2018 has been very positive. We're hearing Gears 5 now, which is good to know that that's in the works, and I'm glad to know that that is not going to be anytime soon. I think one of the things that we worry about is this oversaturation of games, especially the franchise games, because everybody's always talking about Halo. I swear to you, Microsoft dropped a Halo game every year the first 3 years of Xbox. The first year they had the Halo
Spartan Assault.
The Halo Spartan Assault. The second year they had Halo Master Chief Collection. And then the next year they had Halo 5. I was so Halo'd out.
Are we really counting Spartan Assault? I mean, come on. If we're going to count Spartan Assault, yes, then I am going to count that Uncharted mini runner game. I think it was made by the same devs who made those Tomb Raider Go games.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Halo Spartan Assault was actually a game that had a cutscenes and an actual story to it. It wasn't just a runner or anything like that. I mean, it actually had depth. But, I mean, it was a small little phone type game. It was like a small indie type title using the Halo license and building off of it a little bit in a way. And it had like a little co-op, and it was a twin stick shooter and stuff like that. But they pumped it. Not as big as Halo, but it was there. It was Halo Spartan Assault, pick it up today, yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Then you had Halo Master Chief Collection, and then you had Halo the next year. And I was afraid that they were just going to keep coming out with different Halos. You had Halo Wars. Not too long after that, it was insane. I was just like, yo, it's just way too much Halo. Halo needs a break. Anything Halo needs a break. I don't want to see another Halo until the next console. Seriously. I know a lot of fans will kill me for this, and I say it all the time. I love Halo. I am not a Halo hater. I'm just saying.
Yes, he is. Don't listen to him.
Halo needs a break. No, I'm not.
That's why they're taking another year. I agree.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of the Halo franchise. I really am. And the story, and I read the books, and I love the writing and the depth of it. But as a gamer, it needs a break. It needs a fresh break. It needs to be missed. You ever had a game that needed to be missed? So that way when it came back. Yes, there's just games that need to be missed, and Halo's one of them. That's why I'm glad Gears 5 and Halo sound like close to the end of a generation, next generation titles. You know what I'm saying? Honestly.
Yeah. No, I think 343, I want to believe anyways, that 343 has really taken the hint in terms of what people liked about Halo 5, the multiplayer, and what people didn't like about Halo 5, the campaign. And especially after the story that Halo Wars 2 had and the narrative direction that
they got it. I am so pumped for that. Yeah, Atriox is such a good villain.
Yeah, Atriox is a phenomenal villain, and then reintroducing the Flood, getting that classic feel back, that's everything they need. And fun fact, the lead writer on Halo Wars 2 is still one of the few lead writers at 343. And then they hired another guy recently. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry. But they recently hired the lead writer on the first 2 Arkham games. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and he's one of the new writers at 343. So I have good faith into what they'll be doing there on the campaign side of things.
That sounds great. I'm excited about that. That sounds amazing. Let's jump into this E3, man. Back to this E3 talk. Look, so Microsoft, I won't be attending E3 this year, but Microsoft, I'm hearing Everybody was concerned initially about what Microsoft's section was like and the size of it at E3 because they had released these images of E3 and people were looking at booths, and all you seen was Microsoft in this little box. Now, if you've ever been to E3, if you ever been to E3, Microsoft actually has a very large section. I mean, when you go in there, the amount of games that's in there is crazy. They actually have an area where they have a backroom area where there are offices where you can get one-on-ones with certain games. And now you only can be media to get access to that. Those type of games and be on that list. Only a few select people can be on that list, and it's really tough. Trust me, it's very tough to get on. And then on the other side, they had another movie theater where you can sit down and kind of get a look at and one-on-one with whatever their premiere game is for that year. So, right. The year before that, they had Gears 5. I think it was last E3? No, the year before that. The year before that, they had Gears 5. This year, they actually had the Xbox One X. No, Gears 4? Yeah, I'm sorry, Gears 4. We just talked about Gears 5.
No, we have Gears 5. 2 years ago.
They had Gears 4 in the theater the year before that, and then they had the Xbox One X in the theater this year. Last year. So this year, I'm really hoping that whatever they present, that they don't use Forza as the franchise. I really hope it's something big. I don't know if it's going to be Crackdown. I don't know what else they have at the end of this year that they're going to be showing off. I just think about what they showed last year, what's supposed to be releasing. So far, we have The Last Night, which is supposed to be a big indie title coming this year. I can't wait to get my hands on that game. I'm so excited for this.
That looks Cyberpunk so good.
Game. I'm so excited for this game. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I know it looks amazing. We have Ashen, which, as I said before, if you don't know what Ashen is, I'll go in depth real quick. Based on my conversation that I had with the Ashen team, Aurora 44, I was able to get one-on-one with them. And what makes this game so unique is that the world of Ashen is actually covered in ash. Like the light of the world is actually ashes, and it comes from this tree. And you can't see anyone's face. Everybody's face is just like a blob of skin. And what winds up happening is magic is in the world, but it's sort of it's hard to use. Like the ash actually is magical, but you have to be able to. The way you harness it is going to take some time. And the game is co-op, and it's kind of like dropping co-op. But the way it works is, imagine if remember Fable 2 back in the day when you had co-op and you would play some just thug or pirate or criminal or whatever, and it would just give you a random person, but you had all your abilities, but you look like somebody else. It wasn't your actual character. Well, in Ashen, what winds up happening is you're playing a character from that person's world, but that person that you're playing is an actual NPC in that person's world. So you'll run into NPCs that have their own stories and their own quests, and they'll ask you to help them. One of the early characters that you bump into is a blacksmith, and if you play co-op, your friend will play as a blacksmith, and you'll play as an NPC from that character in their world. And as you progress through the game and you find items and you level up this character, when you leave that game and this person goes back to their village, their village actually grows. You actually live in a town that actually expands and grows. And the more people you find, the more people you bring in that actually help you as a single player character. And the blacksmith, as that person levels up, every time the blacksmith is used in the co-op game, the blacksmith's skills as a blacksmith improves, which gives you better weapons to a point that he can actually put enhancements and magical attachments to the weapons themselves. So the more you play co-op, the more the characters in your world level up and the better they become for you when you play single player or when you play co-op by using them. I was blown away by this concept because I haven't seen a game or played a game that has thought of a way to use NPCs in the world as a way to help you while also playing co-op at the same time in an adventure. I think this is absolutely genius. It's definitely difficult. It's not an easy game. Your swings are wide, they're long. It's all about timing. It's all about rolling out of the way and movement. The enemies are fast. It's a combination of light and dark. You know, the way enemies jump into the darkness, they disappear. You don't see them. And then they come back and you have to use light to weaken them. It's crazy. It's really dope. And graphically, it may not be the most impressive game, but I'm telling you right now, it's a banger and it's going to be hot when it drops. Ashen is a game to look out for. It's going to be dope.
That matches up with practically everything I've heard from anyone else who has seen Ashen in depth or talked to the developers there. Ashen, it may have started back when it was revealed in 2014 as a smaller indie title, but it has seriously grown since. It's not really fair to call it an indie anymore.
Right, I agree with
something
that.
truly special.
I agree with that. Listen, Code Vein was there. I'm excited to even see this game on the Xbox.
Man, nobody care about no Code Vein. Let's talk about Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, we do care because hang on now. Wait a minute here. I have my reservations for Code Vein, even though I want to pick it up, but we'll see how some things turn out. But the fact that Code Vein, and for that matter, Monster Hunter World, not only came to Xbox, but the fact that they actually have the marketing for Code Vein, they had the marketing for Dragon Ball Z, that was huge. That's a major thing for Xbox because I've said this before on different podcasts and I'll say it again. They don't need to worry about getting big JRPGs or Japanese games exclusive. They just need to make sure they actually come to Xbox and make sure that PlayStation isn't getting those games like Nier Automata or Neo as console exclusives by default. That's the issue they need to fix. So with Code Vein, Monster Hunter World, actually getting Black Desert Online as an exclusive, Phil seems to be making major strides into fixing that.
Man, I don't care. Code Vein, more like Code Lame. Where's that Sea of Thieves, though?
Oh, no.
Here we go. God, Anchor.
That Sea of Thieves water better than all that Code Vein.
we need to have that girl on the show. I bet you she'll change his tune in 5 minutes. And
I was about to say, whose man is this?
Flat.
Come collect.
No, listen. Code Vein looks amazing. It's a game that I did not expect to be on Xbox at all. It's just something. It's very Japanese. It's very Japanese in an anime sort of way, and that's just something that I'm not used to seeing on Xbox. Sword Art Online. What is it called? The Bullet. I forget what it's called. The Gunglaive version of the game of season 2 is coming to Xbox as well. I don't plan to pick it up, but the fact that it's on the Xbox, it shows that there are strides being made by Microsoft to, again, like you said, get the games that normally wouldn't come to the Xbox on the Xbox. Because it's not about trying to lock up the Japanese games or trying to get every Japanese game. You don't have to get every Japanese games. You just have to get the ones that matter. You know what I'm saying? I
get what you're saying. Like that could be misinterpreted as a broad statement, but I understand exactly what you're saying. Get the ones that matter, like Code Vein. But variety is important, and this gives them that type of thing. Much less the fact that they have the marketing for it. That is astounding.
I think my point that I'm trying to make is because the Xbox is such a Western designed platform with Westernized games. It's already tough as Xbox gamers, the niche gamers out there that love the Japanese games out there, to miss out on certain titles like Star Ocean that was on 360 last gen, or a Tales game that was on 360 last generation. So I think, even though those games aren't doing well, or if they haven't come out and they've been big hits, they're Tales games, they're Star Ocean games, Persona, Nier Automata, Neo, like those type of titles that aren't exclusive by purchase or by contract, but just by default because they don't want to bring those games to Xbox because they feel it's not going to sell. It's something that I think that Microsoft would get, even if they get the digital versions of them. Like, you don't have to have the retail version. I wouldn't care if Sony got the retail version of it. If you offered the digital version for the game, you know what I'm saying, just to cut out a middleman and cut production costs, even then that would be satisfying for the niche group of us that are into those titles. So hopefully Microsoft continues to be on that streak. But yeah, like you said, Black Desert supposed to be releasing sometime over the next couple of months. I heard we're getting Terra. I heard Terra's coming to Xbox, which is another MMO, which is pretty cool, which I look forward to seeing as well. They had a ton of indies that they were releasing. The game with the kid with the music. I can't remember the name of that game. The rock and roll game with the colors.
Kid with the music.
I actually,
listen.
Despite that description, I know exactly what
he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly. There's a game. It's
Brash,
not.
Isn't it?
No. You play this kid, and it's like a running game or like I don't know how to describe it, but it's very vibrant. It's a lot of music. Escape. There you go. The Artful Escape. This is a very unique title as well. And it's different. And I think that it's good to see Microsoft being diverse in what they're trying to bring as far as their game content, and bringing a title like this that probably would just be known on PlayStation. Listen, I'm not trying to say that Xbox haven't had these titles before. I just find it very interesting that Microsoft seems to be getting more of them. I think it's really important, and I think that is really great. Yeah. Because you have a ton of indie guys that started out on PlayStation, and obviously over time they brought some of those titles over to the Xbox. But now you're really starting to see this transition shift where you're getting a lot of these creative titles, which I think the indie developer are probably the most creative and the most risk-taking to separate themselves apart from all the other indie developers, really take risks when it comes to what they're producing and taking a risk putting their games on Xbox first. So I think that's a big deal, man. And people should look out for those titles, as well as, I don't know what Crackdown's going to do this year. I look forward to Forza. I look forward to Sea of Thieves. I look forward to what else they have coming out the rest of the year. Maybe Ori drops. I'll be excited to see that. I doubt it. I think Ori's 2019.
Ori is March or April 2019. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I heard they're actually recruiting for artists and stuff like that right now, designers.
Yeah. So, however, interesting little fact, it looks like there may be another exclusive game coming because Moon Studios is now hiring for another project. Yeah. And I checked into the details. They aren't, they're obviously not first party, but they are second party. They signed a multi-game deal with Microsoft back when they made the first Ori. So whatever this is, there's a 99.99% chance it's an exclusive. The fact that Moon Studios is making it has my seal of approval already. Fantastic.
Listen, Microsoft is doing some good stuff. I don't mind Microsoft doing contractual stuff. I just think that at the end of those contracts, if the relationship has been good and prosperous, they should sign these companies. They've done this before with Twisted Pixel. They've done this before with other studios. Again, I can't stress enough. People continue to misinterpret the relationship with Bungie and Microsoft. Bungie was not owned by Microsoft. They were actually under contract. Microsoft does own shares in Bungie, though. Don't get me wrong. But they were under like a 10-year contractual agreement. Same thing with Activision.
It was weird. It was a very weird situation where Microsoft owned the controlling interest, the controlling majority in their stock, but Bungie was still technically not first party, which is why I think the designers, the leads at the studio actually had to save up their money and purchase the shares back. It was a really weird situation. All things.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So once Bungie wound up separating from themselves, people feel like, oh, they lost a first party studio. It really wasn't like that. Unlike the Coalition and unlike Forza, Turn 10, which are actually studios developed and owned by Microsoft, it's a completely different animal. So, I feel like if you have a studio like Moon Studio or Playground Games, if they continue to bring success, you have to sign these studios as licensedly owned, stock studios. Like, you have to lock these studios up. Seriously. You cannot let these guys just walk by the wayside and go on about your business when you are in desperate need of first-party studios. You know what I'm saying? But we'll have to see what happens coming up over the next couple of months. But listen, E3, I'm hearing it's supposed to be really good this year. Hopefully we see some of the games that they're working on, a few surprises, and we'll see what happens.
May I ask start a quick new topic? Just really quick here. Something I've been thinking about, sort of a thought piece. We all know Microsoft is most likely going to be making some big acquisitions over the next couple of years. All signs are pointing that way. So if you were in charge, or not even if you were in charge, what studios would you like to see them purchase? Keep it realistic. No, we're not talking about the EA or the Valve rumors. We're talking about actual developers. Like anyone can be a jokester and throw out, CD Projekt Red, but that's not just a developer. That's a major corporation that owns its own PC storefront. So we're talking about developers here. What developers?
We've done this a few times already. Obviously, I said I would lock up the studios that I'm already working with: Playground Games, MDHR, Moon Studios. I feel like you have to lock those studios up.
Right.
They've been solid. They've been producing products for you. Microsoft is in desperate need of an RPG studio. By any means necessary. By any means necessary. I do either two things. I either figure out a way to own the only studio that I can think of right now that does RPGs and does them well is Obsidian. And they haven't done anything major in a AAA space for a very long time. But they have the talent, they have the pedigree in the history. And on the other end is just as a fanboy, I would work out any way possible to take BioWare away from EA. I don't care what I got to do to get BioWare from EA, but I feel like Microsoft should be like, you know how like PlayStation is like the home for JRPGs? I feel like Xbox should be the home for Western RPGs.
Because you know who they need that would fill that role so much better than Obsidian? Because Obsidian, they go all in on one thing and they go hard on that one thing. And they take a long time to push that out too. Like that's the only thing with Microsoft is that if they buy somebody, they're not going to see a return for 4 years at least.
Right.
Like it's gonna be a while. The only thing I think they could actually do, and I speak for B Money as well, and you will say the same thing.
Oh, I know what you're going to say, and I agree.
Focus Home Interactive.
Yes. Focus Home.
They're a publisher. Focus Home Interactive is a French publisher. Bro. And they have been putting out game after game after game this generation and last generation that has gone under the radar for most everybody. But they're getting a lot better. And the biggest problem they run into is they don't have any budget at all. Like they get no marketing. They just kind of go out there to die.
Focus Home Interactive though is more of like a publisher though. They have like Spider Entertainment.
But they own all these other little studios. Frogs, like Spider, Cyanide. Those are solid games. Like those are solid studios that
could put out incredible games if they had an actual budget. They put out good games with no budget whatsoever.
Like, okay, here's an example. Let me go pull this up real quick. Do you know the games that they have published so far this year? Well, not this year, last year, really. We'll do all right, I'm going to give you the list of the games Focus Home Interactive have published that are not from studios they don't own. Let me pull this up here. And all right. The games they have published that they own themselves, I'm going to go, it's alphabetical order, so that doesn't help anything. All right, so Blood Bowl 2, Bound by Flame, the new Call of Cthulhu game, Chaos League, Cities XL, Contrast, actually, Compulsion, never mind. Compulsion's gone. Dracula Origin. Let's see, that's Giants. That's not them. They made a Game of Thrones game. I'm scrolling down through here. Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened, Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper, Sherlock Holmes: Crimes and Punishment, Styx: Master of Shadows, Styx: Shards of Darkness, The Surge, Technomancer. Let's see, scrolling on through. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
I get it. I get it. All I'm saying is I don't know if those. They may produce solid games. I get that. I'm not saying that Focus Home Interactive isn't a talented studio. I'm really interested in Vampire. I think Vampire is probably going to be the greatest game that they've ever made. Absolutely, just watching it, reading up on it, seeing it, learning about it. It looks absolutely amazing. And listen, it's scary. It looks scary, and I'm actually going to buy it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, but I have to play this game.
It's because you're playing it as the vampire. It's different.
You are the creature.
But there's other monsters in the game, though, bro. It's scary, bro.
Oh,
anyway,
there is.
Anyway, listen. I just feel like Microsoft. Look, the reason why I'm saying BioWare and Obsidian is because I love Knights of the Old Republic, and as a Knights of the Old Republic fan and a Mass Effect fan, the great thing about Western RPGs is the choice selection, the way you change the game, the decisions that you make in these games, and the way they are played is what makes them really great. You know, Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, games like Fallout, games like Skyrim, even though those aren't really even though Skyrim isn't and Fallout really aren't decision-making games where your choices impact, or at least Skyrim doesn't impact the story as much. They're still built in a way that reflect that Western style. And Microsoft does really well with Fable. They do really well with Skyrim. They do amazingly well with Fallout. They do great with Mass Effect. These games sell on this platform because they were built on that platform. You know, initially, especially back in the day, they had the biggest followings on that platform. And that's why I feel like they need this studio to build a portfolio of Western RPGs that you can only get on the Xbox. It is something that I think they're sorely missing. And it doesn't have to be anything difficult, but it needs to be story-driven. It needs to be in-depth, and it needs to have amazing graphics and amazing detail. And these are the type of games that they're missing. A game like Deus Ex would be perfect. Like you said, Perfect Dark. It fills that niche where you can maybe have a shooter and an RPG at the same time in a third-person, first-person hybrid type game. They need that. So a studio like BioWare, a studio like Obsidian, those are the reasons why I kind of feel like that would be the perfect studio for them to pick up, because it's something that they're missing. They have a great racing studio. They have a great first person, great shooter studios. They have little great indie studios. They need something to fill the niche that they are missing. And what they're missing adventure games, RPG games, and survival horror games. And that's something that they need to fill. I think that's a void.
So what you're telling me is if Alien Isolation 2 is exclusive, you will stream Alien Isolation 1.
First of all, stop bringing Alien Isolation into the conversation. I will never, ever play Alien Isolation.
Never stop.
I don't know why you guys bring Alienation. I literally get hit up by Doomhammer almost every other day about Alien Isolation. We got to get Cal to play Alien Isolation. I will never play that game, bro. Ever. I will never play any
try it, dude. You gotta try it.
I refuse. I'm not.
I don't care if you refuse. We will get you on there. That is a guarantee.
All right, listen. Let's jump into Xbox One S is getting an update. A lot of people don't. I don't know if people have seen this recently. Xbox One X and Xbox One S are getting a 1440p resolution update. Apparently, when people game on video game monitors that have 1440p resolution, the games don't scale to 1440p. And if they don't have 4K, it doesn't up-res or it doesn't give native resolution. So instead, the games sit at 1080p. So Microsoft was putting out a 1440p update for the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. Now, I don't know if the Xbox One S can upscale its resolution. Well, I guess it will upscale the 1440p and not 4K, I guess, for monitors. I was going to say I thought it was pretty amazing if they were able to get that a native resolution at 1440p, but I would assume, I guess, it's just an upscale. Whereas for the Xbox One X, if you're gaming on a 1440p monitor, it would just be a 1440p setting. You know what I'm saying? And then you would just downscale to 1440p and maybe get a super sampling for 1440p, which I think would be pretty cool. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, then the X and the S getting this update continues Microsoft's support for the hardcore in terms of, making sure that the purchase is worth it for people who are playing off 1440p monitor, because there aren't any TVs that's just a monitor type resolution. So them doing that, I'm not sure how useful it'll be for the S, frankly. I imagine there's only a handful of indie games that could even do that, but for the X, it makes perfect sense to output natively rather than having to downsample somewhat or upscale somewhat.
Right.
Man, nobody cares. Everybody's moving on to X. Everyone's all aboard on the X, and we just want to play Sea of Thieves. That's all we want to do.
Let's talk about Sea of Thieves because keep talking about Sea of Thieves.
I want that water on 4K HDR.
I heard that Sea of Thieves they haven't even put out their enhancement update yet. So we don't even know what the game looks like. It's already gorgeous as it is. And they've added the crap.
You gotta play this one. It actually looks better than the last beta.
It does. They've done something. I don't know what it is, but they have done something.
I think they reworked the textures a little bit and they added some sea effects. Like you can see like the sea spray. It's like, oh my god. Like I've been boating several times. I've been sailing. I've done this. This is the closest it's ever been. It's amazing. Just absolutely stunning stuff. It really is.
Listen, I truly think Rare has a hit on their hands. I know a lot of fans, I don't want to say fans, I know a lot of haters have been doubting Rare. You know, people want to try to kill Rare because Rare has a legacy and a history they believe Microsoft killed. They also don't feel like Rare has the pedigree that it used to have. I think studios grow. You get new talent. You find new inspirations. Some of the team is still there. One of the Mays brothers is still there, and that's great. I just think that Sea of Thieves, based on what I played and what I loved about and what I liked about the game, it just gives you a true sense of adventure. I had so much fun playing the beta, being able to sit there, hang out with my friends, go get some treasures, come back, hand the treasures off, and then find people that hit my island at the same time and get into a fight with them and kill them and steal their treasures and then hop on our ships and escape. I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was great.
I was gonna say, was that you earlier this morning? So wait, you haven't played this.
No, I didn't get a chance to play the new update. Listen, what I want to see from them and what I would like to see from them is a more lively world. And I know that there's supposed to be more stuff. I just don't want the ocean to feel so barren. And again, listen, the ocean is barren. Like, I think people tend to forget how large the ocean is. You ever be on a sea cruise and go somewhere? Do you see any other ships in the vicinity? Like, do you understand how difficult it is for another ship to bump into another ship? You know, unless you're in coastal waters where you're traveling along a certain route when you bump into another ship or something like that, it's fairly realistic. A lot of times you'll see ships in the distance or you'll see ships very far away. But if you're in the middle of the ocean, it's hard to find ships or see ships. A lot of people feel like, you know, the world is too barren. But I think it'll be really cool if, say, for example, you went to a island and you made a bunch of noise, you killed some pirates and you stole some treasures, and on your way back, you run into a British frigate and you're being chased from the frigate. You gotta get away from the frigate, and maybe you go through a storm and the ship is chasing through the storm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to get away from it. And you had maybe one or two British frigates patrolling the seas for pirates. You know, you add that with other NPC, other players in the game. You put in the Kraken. You put in a Megalodon. I think it would be great if they did something like that. When you have monsters. No, seriously, I'm saying it from a perspective that you put in monstrous animals in the sea. You can have the Kraken, but you should also have other creatures like a giant anglerfish that you at nighttime. It's the only time you see it. You're in the ocean, you see a bright light coming out of the water. You know what I'm saying? You see a bright light.
And on top of that, have treasure that glows. So you jump down into the water and you're not sure what you're going to be encountering.
Right. And then when you get down there, it's a giant anglerfish about to kill you. You know, or you see a bunch of sharks in a fest, in one area, and all of a sudden you get hit. Your boat gets hit or it gets rammed by something, and it's a giant shark hitting you. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alpha shark or something like that. I just think those little things randomly appearing or randomly happening would be so cool. It would bring so much danger to the ocean besides just being on a boat and being, and traveling the sea and going from island to island, you have other things that you have to worry about at the same time. I think it would be really great if they did that. I don't know what their plans are. Maybe it may happen, maybe it won't. But I just think it would bring so much more to what they're already doing. And again, this is a game that's going to grow with you. And maybe they'll take feedback. Maybe I'll make a few suggestions when we get Craig Duncan on the show. But I think that if Sea of Thieves, no matter how you look at it, looks like it's going to be a huge success. They have how much? Over 500,000 people playing it on Twitch? That's insane.
I sit back and I think of Sea of Thieves, and like I agree with you. I think they do need to have monsters, but I think they need to be like extremely diverse. Maybe like 3 or 4 total.
Well, they need to be very different. That's the thing. They don't just need to be reskins. Like the Kraken, they've poured so much work into the tech for the Kraken to make it this incredible force of nature, to make it this is beyond a boss. This is something evil from the deep come to get us.
Yeah.
But, they need to do that with each of them. Each boss, each creature, not boss really, needs to feel incredibly unique.
Like, we had some ideas I know we talked about. And like I sit back and I think like you need to have like a mini boss that maybe is not as invested as the Kraken. I think like a Moby Dick kind of thing, because we were talking about this earlier today. Like when you play, you hear whale sounds, and there's no whales anywhere.
That'd be dope if they had like a white whale. Yeah, that would be fire. I'm not gonna lie. A Moby Dick situation. Oh my god!
Like, and all you do is like you start hearing this sound in the middle of the night. And you're like, what the hell? And you look down beneath you and you see something white just like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, just smashes your ship. It'd be like, holy crap.
Whale sounds are scary. You ever listen to like whale sounds?
They're otherworldly.
Scary? Yeah, very much so.
It's one of my favorite parts of Dishonored's lore in the world of the Dishonored game, is turning the whales from these giant creatures into not only a source of the Industrial Revolution, but into these eldritch beings that may or may not be affecting to the universe. Because, dude, they sound like it. They sound
like in the other world, yeah, with the dude and the whale sound, bro. What? The whale sounds could be twisted. It sounds crazy, especially at night.
We were talking about one idea, which would be cool.
You ever watch an anime called ReZero? ReZero is about this kid who every time he dies, he comes back. He can't tell anybody he dies, or he'll be like strangled and killed again. So it's like Groundhog Day. He keeps reliving the same thing over and over and over again until he figures out what he needs to complete, and he completes it, and then he moves forward. But in each instance, no matter what he does, if he gets it wrong, he dies. But he learns, which is really cool. But there's a sequence where they have to get past a certain area at night, and there's a myth about a whale, and this whale starts making this sound in the middle of while they're traveling by carriage. It's like a small army. They're traveling by carriage, and they hear this whale sound, bro. And they're literally on like a trail with there's nothing but prairies and grass. And I'm sitting here like, why is there a whale sound and there's no water anywhere? The whale was literally flying in the air, and when it comes down, it crashes and destroys.
What kind of anime is this? Is it directed by Kojima or something?
Well, he hasn't changed his words and deeds, so probably.
It's definitely
dude. I'll tell you what there needs to be. There needs to be like a giant hermit crab, or like a crab of some crustacean, of course. Like basically, I imagine. I talked to Sam about this. Like, imagine you have like a whole island, and you're like, oh wow, look at this island, and like it just moves, but very very slowly. Like it goes to a location, and then it just stays there. And so like you park your ship one there, and it's not listed anywhere on the map. You're like, what island is this? And so you just kind of show up, and you start going around, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? And you find a little crack, like you go into like this cave, and it starts getting kind of like pearlescent, and you start noticing like they'll spirally, and then inside is a giant hermit crab.
I'm about to make a list of he's hoarding treasures, gold and all this stuff like that. That would be dope. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna make a list of all these things that we think that they should put in the game. Like this is what you should put in the game, Craig. Put this in the game. Make this. Put this in the game. Put this in the game too.
And charge.
And please credit Tick for all of these ideas. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, man. Listen, CFD sounds amazing. I can't wait for the final game to come out. I just beat Monster Hunter World, which I must say was I beat it yesterday. It was amazing. I loved it. Story obviously wasn't great. It was your typical Japanese game. I mean, the commander sounds like a knockoff of All Might from My Hero Academia, and but yeah, like you said, it's serviceable. But the gameplay and the mechanics and the armor building and the weapon building and oh man, the weapons when you start getting to the upper echelon of them, like the rarities, 7s and 8s, they're just gorgeous. There's an ice weapon that I'm trying to get. It's a giant glowing squid. It's a squid, bro. It looks amazing. And I just got my rare armor and I've been building towards that and stuff. And now I'm fighting tempered beasts. I think it's amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on DLC. I'm very glad that this game came to Xbox. And I really love the game. I really enjoy it. So now that that's pretty much kind of like at its end until DLC comes out, I'm looking forward to Sea of Thieves next month. And it's crazy that it's right around the corner. I put 198 hours into Monster Hunter. I think I have a problem. Yeah, I said the same thing. I went online and I was looking at my time and it said 198.57.47.30. And I was like, what is like at first I didn't catch what that was until I realized like, yo, I literally put in almost 200 hours into this game and it just came out. What is wrong with me? That's how I am when it comes to RPGs, bro. If I get into an RPG that I really love and I really like, bro, I will not turn it off.
It's a good game. I will just
keep playing it for hours. I literally play. My wife, this is what I'm talking about. My wife goes to work at 11:30. My son goes to school. Like my wife leaves the house at 11. Like 10, she goes to work at 11. She leaves the house at 10. My son goes to school at 7. So it's just me and my two-year-old daughter for about 5 hours until my son gets off school. And then from there, my wife doesn't get home till about 9:30, 10 o'clock, bro. I literally sit all day for almost 10 hours a day and play Monster Hunter. That's all I play. And it's nuts. This is why I can't play games the way I used to, because I literally neglect my children. My kids will starve to death, bro. If I don't get off the game, my kids will starve to death. This is a problem for me. It really is. But I love the game. It's a great game. All right. Listen, that's it for this week's show. I want to thank everybody for stopping out. It's very late. I know we have a lot of people in here, so I want to thank everybody for stopping in and hanging out in the chat. Big thanks to Other Zinc. Glad to have Other Zinc in here checking out the show tonight. Greatly appreciate you, brother. We know you support us, and we're grateful for the support. Thank you to Edge XL, TF God, Alex Morel, excuse me. Joseph Tolbert, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Let me catch a few other people. Shadow Blade, Apex. Apex. Thank you, man. Longtime fan of the show and friend of the show. Thank you, Hesh. Appreciate you. Nicholas Graham as well. Thank you as well for stopping out. Makai Tolbert. The whole Tolbert family is in the building. Thank you, Tolbert family. Much appreciated for stopping out. P.O. Rush. Thank you, brother, for stopping out as well. And a few others, if I can catch the names before that's it. So yeah, and Eric J, I want to thank you as well for stopping out. So listen, man, it's kind of late. Do you guys think we could do a Q&A for 10 minutes?
Sure.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the show for the MP3 crowd. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them now. We'll try to answer them, and then we'll head out for tonight's episode. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for ILR Podcast, which opens up, I believe, at 1 p.m. Eastern. Monday, don't forget to check out Multiverse Podcast. These guys have been killing it, man. They've had guests on the show. They've been doing interviews. They've been bringing the content that you guys have been missing. Make sure you check that out as well. Mondays at 8 p.m. And of course, you can catch Double XP Podcast, which pops up on here bi-weekly now. Whenever the next episode pops up, go ahead and support the 2XP Podcast because those guys do a great job over there as well with Fame Entertainment and Nicodemus X. And make sure you go to TICGN.com, the official home for Tick Network, where you can catch all the latest news and content from guys like Edge Excel and Sam Tolbert here. These guys bust their butts to bring you great quality content and news on a regular basis. And keep an eye out for those interviews and things that we got coming. And that's it for today's show. We'll be back next week. Make sure you tune in every Saturday around 10 p.m. I'm going to say around 10 p.m. because we can't seem to start on time. And that's it. So I'm your host, Kara SKL, the last on the planet Xbox. We're Anchorman V and my man Direwolf, Sam Tolbert, and we're out of here. Peace. All right. Cool. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Questions. Will Anchorman's second date with that woman be talking all night until sunrise, or will they watch movies on Lifetime Network?
Well, let's see. I don't have cable, so.
Oh man. What's the next date, Anchor? When y'all gonna hook up again? What do you mean you don't know, bro? You gotta book that. You gotta book that same day. First of all, I do. I'm not giving no. I don't. First of all, listen. It's bad enough. I don't want to spend 30 minutes talking to my wife, let alone 6 hours. Okay. All she's gonna do is bring up something that's gonna lead to me doing something that I was supposed to do or something I didn't do. It always ends up that way. It always starts out well. Oh, how was your day, honey? It was good. Yada yada yada. And now we're having a conversation. And I'm. But
why didn't you clean the house?
But there's something I didn't do, something I need to do, something. There's always something. It always leads to something I didn't do. So I'm like, no, I avoid all conversations. So you got 6 hours with this girl. I mean, I'm glad that you enjoyed yourself, man. It's good. You have to get out there, meet women. You know, you're a young man, man. Try to stay single as long as you can. Obviously, I'm in my late 30s, so it's time. It was time for me to settle down, and I wanted to start my family and everything before I hit 40. But and I'm glad I have a couple years to go before I get there. But listen, man, yeah, man, enjoy your youth while you can. I didn't have any kids until I was like 31. So I spent my whole 20s with my girlfriend, no kids, and freedom. Now I can't even go see Black Panther when I want to. This is the travesty. I literally have to wait for these days to hit either pay-per-view or DVD or Netflix or something. It's crazy. Let me see here.
Oh, TF God asks, all I want to know is Anchorman seen Black Panther tomorrow. I will see Black Panther tomorrow. I would have seen it tonight, but plans were different. So
Alex Morrell said, what was the name of that groundhog anime? Groundhog anime?
What you were talking about, the like Zero X or something like that? The guy reliving Groundhog Day.
Yeah. It's called and then it's got two. What is it called? It's like RE, and then it's called Zero. Zero. And basically, what happens is this kid somehow, for some reason, gets transported from his normal world to this fantasy world. I won't say fantasy, but it's like a different world where they have like elves and humanoid animals and stuff like that, or whatever. And the first time he bumps into these people, he gets into a fight and he gets stabbed and he dies. And then he wakes back up and he's right back at the same place where he started. And this happens every time. And every time he dies, he tries to take a different approach, but something he does something wrong and he winds up getting killed. And then eventually he gets it and he progresses and he finishes whatever he does. And then he moves on to the next area. But it's dope because the story starts to evolve and you start to understand somebody pulled him from his world for a reason and they won't let him die. But he can't like there's a girl. There's like these girls that he want to tell, don't do this, or you can't go in here, or if you do this, this is going to happen because da 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 da. He can't even tell them. He can't even tell them what's going to happen. If he does, every time he does, it feels like a hand is crushing his heart and he can't breathe. Like his heart's being crushed. So he stops. and it's preventing him from saying it. But it gets deeper and deeper, and down a rabbit hole you go, and then it gets really dark. And I'm like, yo, this anime is hot. Like it gets really dark and twisted, and it gets hot. So it's called ReZero. Check it out, man. It's hot. I can't wait to do my network show. I'm going to be doing all types of stuff like that, bringing up really cool animes, doing top five recommendations, best fights, and stuff like that. As a small segment that I'll do maybe once or twice a month on top of my video game content, Xbox content, podcasts, and stuff like that on the Last Sun channel, which should be coming at the end of the month if I get my PC in time.
Here's a good question. I like this question. I didn't hear Cal's kids tonight. Did he lock them in the closet before the show?
You know what? I bought my son Rocket League. First of all, my son loves cars. Okay. I bought him Lego. I bought him Legos and he destroyed them. Like he blew them. I'm like, this kid learned how to do stuff pretty quick. Like he'll get mad, he'll get frustrated, he'll beg me to help him, I'll help him. As soon as I show him once, he gets it, he's done. So he's beaten all 3 worlds in Jurassic Park. He beat Batman. I told you the story about Batman. I had to get rid of Batman because he came downstairs and said, Daddy, you're Superman and I'm Batman. I couldn't have that. Your name's Kal-El. That's not going to work. No, we will not have any more Batman games in this house. So the Lego Batman is gone. So that's done. And then I got him Marvel Superheroes. And he beat that, which was pretty crazy. So now he's learning all the heroes. Like he loves Spider-Man. He's like swinging with Spider-Man and he knows who Venom is. He knows who Hulk is. He knows Iron Man. It's really cool. But then I bought him Rare Replay. And Rare Replay was extremely difficult, which kind of reminded me of when I was a kid. Like, how did we play these games as a kid? Because literally, Battletoads was impossible. His frustration with these games, like I try to let him play, what's that game with the construction trucks on 64? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. It's a game where you blow stuff up with construction trucks on 64. And he loved construction trucks, but the camera angles were horrendous because it's 64. And he couldn't get it. He couldn't figure it out. And he got frustrated. So I took it back and instead I bought him Rocket League. I bought this kid This kid has unlocked stuff that I didn't even think he could unlock. I got him in a season. He's already 5 and 6. I'm like, how are you winning? like how? Like I just gave him the game and he's like, he's played the game or whatever. But he gets frustrated a lot. So he wore himself out.
It's what happens. The young just figure things out better than the old. It just happens.
Well, he wore himself out today because he came downstairs and tried to fall asleep on the couch. And I said, Liam, get up. You got to take a bath. And he's like, Daddy, I'm tired. I was like, that's music to my ears. Let's go. So I got him in the bathtub, got him washed up, put him in the bed, washed my daughter up. But then she was down here with me. And I actually forgot it was Saturday. I was just reading like the reviews for Black Panther and seeing people's comments and stuff like that and all the drama and all of the dramatic stuff that's been going on in social media and everything or whatever, with people trying to sabotage it or whatever. So I was reading up on that, but I want to get her in the bed. So I got the kids to bed pretty early. Not early, late, but I got them in the bed, so that's why you don't hear them, thank God.
One more question. One more question.
One more question. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me see here. Damn, we got to ask for a few of them. D21 asks, why do people still think Xbox only released first-person shooters still? They actually release more third-person shooters than first. I just think it's the stigma because on 360, Microsoft. Well, the thing is, 360 had Call of Duty and it had Halo. Even though Call of Duty wasn't exclusive, it was relegated to Xbox because that was the platform for all of the Call of Duty tournaments. So people always looked at it as a dude box, as a shooter box, because you had nothing but shooters. You had Gears, you had Halo, you had Call of Duty, and shooters did really well on the platform. They sold extremely well on the platform. Xbox One is a different animal, and they've actually moved away from it, but it's just a stigma that stayed with the platform. Move out of the way. Mr. Keemer says, "Do you think CD Projekt Red will show their game at Microsoft conference?"
Not up for debate.
Let's Sam answer this one.
Not even remotely up for debate. CD Projekt Red and Microsoft have an extremely good relationship due to their early founding days. Microsoft and BioWare, for what it's worth, gave them sort of a kickstart in understanding the industry and having a presence at E3, and that loyalty has been rewarded. I mean, Microsoft had the marketing for Witcher 2, Witcher 3, and Gwent, so they'll have the marketing on Cyberpunk, which is going to be insane. And may actually be revealed this year. I'm actually thinking that could be a big, like, even if it's not exclusive, the fact that they'll have marketing for it, that's going to be on the level of Call of Duty's marketing, if not greater.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a good one. Go ahead, Anchor.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so. I'm excited about that. I always felt that Cyberpunk would end up on Microsoft stage. It just feels like a Microsoft game because it's a Cyberpunk type title. Mass Effect and all those games that feel like, like choice games, I just feel like Microsoft should dive deep into those type of titles. It just feels like an Xbox type title. PlayStation is just known for their Japanese games and their like centric storytelling niche type titles. And then Nintendo's known for their platformers and some of their adventure titles. But Microsoft, their shooters and their Western RPGs, man, like they should really build towards that. I don't know why they don't. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will with this new Fable that they're supposedly working on. Alex Morel said, "That sounds beast. I gotta watch it." Yeah, make sure, bro. And no doubt, I appreciate you. Check out the channel when it drops. I appreciate the support. Blast Corpse, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was Blast Corpse. He was getting frustrated with. TF Guy, final question asks, "What do you guys think about Disney shopping Star Wars to Ubisoft and Activision? And could this lead to a third Star Wars game getting canceled? 1313, Amy Hennig Star Wars, and maybe Respawn Star Wars game."
It's all getting canceled. I'm being dead serious though. I think all of it's getting canceled.
If I'm Microsoft, I pay Sony, I pay Disney whatever they want for the rights to make a new Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this. I don't like the idea of any one publisher holding the exclusive Star Wars license. I think Disney should say, okay, gaming industry, show us your best. Sony, what are you going to pitch to us? Microsoft,
fight for that contract
or not?
That's what I'm saying. Like you can have different companies doing different things. Like I wouldn't mind that, but Microsoft needs to either get Knights of the Old Republic or maybe take the new generation and make a game with characters in the Star Wars universe that are other Jedis, but have their own story.
Better. I have a better idea. Infinitely better.
What's that?
Star Wars Bounty Hunter 2.
No.
Not a bad idea at all.
Dude, Bounty Hunter was... my God. No. Let me pitch this to you. It's a third-person game where you create your own bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe. You could be a Mandalorian. You could be a Wookiee. You could be whatever you want to be. You could pick whatever you want to be, and you play the game like a Mass Effect title, but except a little more open. You can pick your contract. You join up with your squad. Man, Jedi are overrated. You trying to get me to join a cult? You're trying to join a cult?
Why not both? I would like a new KOTOR or a KOTOR remake a la Final Fantasy VII, but it actually comes out. But I would also like a Star Wars bounty hunter type game, kind of in line with what Amy Hennig's canceled game was shaping up to be.
Like 1313? Now that I would take. I'd take that. The 1313 joint.
If it ain't bounty hunter, it needs to be canceled.
Republic, give me a Star Wars game in the form of Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic, because that's what Mass Effect really is. Knights of the Old Republic, basically. Except, it was live action with guns instead of lightsabers. I just feel, and you can move around. But they definitely need to build upon that. Like Bounty Hunter is cool, man. Being a Boba Fett type character, Han Solo character is cool, man. But listen, man, it's nothing like being a Jedi. There's nothing like being a Jedi or a Sith, man. Electrocuting somebody or force pushing somebody. Listen, I remember in Knights of the Old Republic, I force persuade someone to commit suicide. I will never forget that. It was an accident. I didn't mean to hit that button.
Oops,
I will never forget that.
Oops, suicide.
I had to reset the game because I got dark side points and I wanted 100% light side points because when you get to the end of the game, if you maxed it out, you would glow. I thought that was really cool. And I remember playing the game and force persuading some enemies I was trying to tell them, no, you don't want to fight me, go away. Instead, I told them to jump off the side of the building. And all of them literally turned and jumped off the side. And I got dark side points, funny stuff.
Man, you really wanted to make that decision.
Nah, man. Every time I play something, I'm always a good guy.
That was original plan.
Except for Injustice. I played Superman all the way through and was bad. I played the Superman storyline and chose Superman at the end and got the bad ending and never picked it up again to play the good part. I refuse to let Batman be Superman in the video game. For a good ending. I don't care. That's my storyline. I'm sticking to it. Oh, man. Funny stuff. All right, listen, that's it for tonight's show, man. We had a long show tonight going on to the next day. I want to thank everybody again for stopping out. I want to thank everybody for the questions. Make sure you tune in next week for another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast, the premier podcast for Xbox. Hopefully, we have a lot more to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of content. I'm going to be reaching out to Microsoft and Rare this week, set up my interview with Craig Duncan. We've been in talks for a minute to try to get this thing done. Hopefully we can, since they're opening up about Sea of Thieves. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about Rare and what Rare has planned for the future, what possible games. They probably won't tell us, but what possibly they could be possibly working on other stuff. We'll see if they open up about that. And again, I'm your host, X1S Kal-El, with Anchorman V and my man Direwolf, which I'm going to start calling him Direwolf instead of Sam. But you guys know Sam Tolbert, man, again, one of our editors over at TICGN and one of our head writers for the Xbox section and other games as well over at TICGN. So make sure you go check out TICGN as well. But again, I'm your host, X Kal-El, the last on the planet Xbox, with Anchorman V and my man Direwolf here. And we are off this planet. You guys have a great night. Peace.